mentoring beyond lane A. At Architects of Life, the social impact agency that we run, we believe a lot in mentoring a person in parallel, if you like. So there's lane A, which is the typical surface lane or trajectory of youth at risk. But there's also lane B, which many mentors don't know about, and therefore how we end up working with offending youth, offending prone youth and youth at risk is always trying to fight fire, always crisis managing with no end in sight. So these days, when we talk about the multiverse, right, or the metaverse, there seems to be parallel universes that we can actually conceptually apply in our strategy working with young people. Let me just tell you the genesis of this. This came about when I was mentoring ex-offenders myself. You know, in Architects of Life, we don't just work with youth at risk in the homes, juvenile institutions, but also ex-offenders. We go into prisons. We are strongly associated with MHA, Home Affairs, because in mentoring, the key word, and I want to emphasize what my co-presenters have already done, so trust is so crucial. It's a currency that we use when we're working with particularly youth who have a dysfunctional background or broken past. And that's why when we journey along with a young person who is predisposed with all the risk behaviors, right, that currency is the make or break. We can have all the knowledge and skills and strategies, right? But if you don't have the relationship, we have no currency and we can't speak into their lives. So let me dive into what this mentoring beyond lane AB. And I think the best way to do this is to do a side-by-side comparison, AB comparison. So let me begin. Mentoring a youth at lane A is like fixing problems that are current in his life. Whereas in lane B is starting to create future possibilities. Lane A is short-term solutions. Obviously, when you want to fix problems, you're only thinking short intervals, right? But lane B presupposes you can think far, have foresight, and develop long-term strategies. Lane A is mainly intervention in nature when you come into mentor, almost like a social worker. But lane B presupposes there's potential that you want to invest in. And investment simply means biggest bang for your buck. Which area do you want to focus in so that you can have some sort of a ROI, return on investment? Lane A is very passive in terms of the way the youth or the ex-offender receives help, right? It's just passive, it's like, oh, like that, law, right? This is me, law. And sometimes they have fatalistic thinking, a very defeatist victim attitude. And so he's just waiting for support or help. Whereas lane B type of mentoring encourages the mentee to be proactive in carving his future. Lane A is a lane A mentee is very impulsive in his thinking. So when we talk about neurobiology, cognitive functioning, is very limbic system. Limbic system is very emotion-based and survival instinct at best. So when you talk about the nervous system, you're talking about fight or flight. A lane A youth at risk on a daily basis, even because he has to handle drama, right? He's constantly thinking of reacting to his circumstances. Whereas lane B, he will start to be anticipative. And when you start to think ahead and use foresight competencies, foresight and critical faculties, you're actually using a part of your brain called the PFC, the prefrontal cortex, and you're starting to develop that part cognitively, with critical thinking skills. Lane A is focusing on urgent things, whereas lane B can start to focus on important things. Those of us who do goal setting, time management, you understand the concept of the Eisenhower matrix, right? And if you're constantly just attending to urgent things, they dart and flow, and you never be able to plan long term. You're always preoccupied with the urgent things that swarm at you day to day. Lane A is focused on relieving pain, whereas lane B doesn't mind the pain because it's a sacrifice that is worth it for long-term gain. Lane A is living day to day. I use the word crisis management because a lot of our youth at risk, they face drama. I mean, one day you solve one drama, the next day you're just waiting for him to say, oh, I'm out of money, I can't pay the bills, and my phone lost, and something happened to my family, my parents. I have to go hospital, I have to go police station. It's crisis management and intervention. Whereas lane B is starting to think long-term and build the future. Lane A is, well, the outcome of lane A, if you're just solely living day to day, hand to mouth, the beneficiary, the mentee will miss a lot of opportunities in life. Whereas lane B, you start to utilize and fulfill your potential. I'll give you a very quick example. When we want to plan these days post-pandemic, I know the revenge travel hasn't ended. Many people, including myself, I'm planning like where to go and travel middle of this year, end of this year. A lane A person is just going to wait until the last minute, right? And then say, okay, I think I want to go to, say, Japan next month, and then start going online searching in a hurry, very hastily. And you will notice all the flight tickets are so expensive because come on, it's just 1 month away. But if you really plan in the longer term, and you plan 6 months, even a year ahead, you're gonna find cheap tickets, cheap flights, right? And you're always getting a more favorable outcome, right? You won't miss opportunities. Lane A, the mentoring goal, of course, you still mentor, right? A youth at risk who is going through crisis, but the mentoring goal is the stability. Whereas lane B is sustainability. What's the difference? Lane A is just getting the person stabilized, pay his bills, solve certain outstanding problems in the now, and that is good. But the problem with that is that the mindset of a lane A mentee is that he thinks, oh, no more problem, so no need to plan anything else, and just a sigh of relief, waiting for the next drama to happen in his life, right? So he's not thinking long term, and whatever he does, let's say he gets a job, right, a low paying job, and that's fine, entry level, but then he's thinking this is it, and when I ask some of these mentees, what do you have in mind for the long-term future for your career planning? This is just a job, and it's good for the cash flow, it's needed. But how long are you going to stay on this job? They're not thinking ahead, and therefore they don't invest in their own self-development, lifelong learning. Ask them to do WSQ skills future. They say, no lah, I'm not the study type. So they're very satisfied with the here and now, as long as there's no problem. Lane A, the role of a mentee is almost like a firefighter, fighting fires, putting out little crises here and there, and every now and then having a respite. And then say, at last, okay, and just waiting for it, because there's no other lanes he can jump on or create. Whereas lane B is an architect, he builds the future. It's not there yet, it's certainly not in front of you, but he plans, he designs, and ultimately, because of the vision for himself, he's able to work towards it and literally architect his life. And that's one of the reasons why we're called architects of life as well.